about it. We want to show you what was presented last year with 4 concrete examples, 4 concrete projects, and we want to see where they are now. 1 year later, what did they achieve? What challenges did they have? What successes did they have? In a way, a kind of a proof of concept that we're going to take a look at the moment. And I only see 4 chairs. We probably need a 5th chair as well. Otherwise, it will turn out or end as that famous musical chairs game. No, there we are. So everybody's got a seat. Very good. So I would like to introduce to you the 5 panelists for this session. People who know the Zermatt Summit since, as I said, have been here last year already. So please welcome them all. We have STEPHAN, founder, CEO and Chairman of Skysails. We have IVANKA MILENKOVIC, founder and CEO of Ekofungi. Then we have STIER, founder and CEO of Bonaverde Coffee. Just please come up, please. And then we have Top, president of advisory board of Ellipse Smart Solutions and president of SATT IDF Innovation. And with him, he has Ethan Hadaya. He's from Ellipse Smart Solutions. A huge applause to all of you. There we go. Are we still missing someone? Ethan, okay, you come here. All right. A very warm welcome to all of you. As I said, you're old experts, and you've been here last year already. There's something you probably do on a daily basis. You present your projects, and you actually tell people what you do. And I thought it would be a good idea for those who are not familiar with them that you give us some kind of an elevator pitch on what exactly you do. Shall we start with Ekofungi? Maybe that would be a good idea. Ladies first, that you tell us about the idea. We usually, I'm not saying you have 30 seconds, but let's keep this as short as possible. I think we have some footage we can show in the background as well. But maybe just give us a short idea what is behind what we see here and what is behind the company in itself.
First of all, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you very much to Zermatt Summit and Foundation to offer for us a really small, even micro entrepreneur a chance to share and find ourselves in such an amazing company. First of all, in line with Zermatt spirit and goodwill, I would like to say that those bags are not belongs to Ekofungi.
Okay.
Those bags belong to my dear colleagues from Beyond Cafe from Denmark, where Tobias yeah, there is. And of course, if I may say so, they overcome a teacher, as I am a teacher. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing a business from 1998, and already 30 years we are in circular economy. We didn't have a clue what does it mean, circular economy, before that we met Ginter exactly 20 years ago when we learned about ZERI. And ZERI means that waste does not exist. There is 0 emission, at least. Mushrooms, based on biology, is a just example from the nature. Based on the biology of the mushroom, we created our business, and our business today is spread globally thanks of the a fantastic team from Turin who presented the coffee waste mushroom first time 20 years. I would like, if you have a time, just ask Stephan to show us a short video who will exactly present what Ekofungi is today.
Absolutely.
Please. Yeah. So, just to add, we teach people from all around the world, and today I have more than 500 small entrepreneurs who are doing the business based on our model. It is not only model of using the waste, it is the model to use all what you have in your surrounding. But moreover, we are the typical circular example. We deliver the spent composted substrate to our farmers. We purchasing all extra quantity of organic grown vegetable from our farmers, and collect them, that material, dehydrate it, and provide the final product ready for the market delivery. So instead just to waste, we just collect all what they have extra. Here you can see our farmers, and that is my message. If you ask me what we have done within last year, I would like to say that we spread our story between the farmers, and our mission is to create locally hundreds of small entrepreneurs who will create a strong network and provide benefits not only for us like entrepreneurs, but also to create a better life for our local farmers. We are living on Balkan. It is pretty challenging. If we may succeed to do that on the Balkan, trust me, there is no excuse, guys, for you. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you very much, Ivanka. You talked about some challenges. We will be talking about some others, I promise, as well. So a perfect example of a kind of a 100% circular economy.
And also, in hope that DHL deliver our present, all of you will have at the end of the day small bags of our product.
There you go.
But it will be, it does not depend on us.
If the mushroom gets cleared from customs in Geneva, otherwise we all go to the airport in Geneva and have a mushroom soup there. The beautiful thing here is that, you know, the wide array of projects and ideas as well, and we go from mushrooms to wind power afterwards. Since you were talking about coffee, I suggest we go to Hans Stier now, founder and CEO of Bonaverde Coffee. Another very, very interesting idea. Hans, can you give us your elevator pitch, please?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Mr. Wasserman, for having us, Christopher, and Elizabeth too, and Gunther, of course. Bonaverde started out in 2013, and that's when Gunther actually found us, and we got to know each other through Kickstarter, which is a crowdfunding platform in the United States. Back in the day, it was only there. It was not in Europe available, so we launched the product over there.
One of the most successful launches.
One of the back then, we were actually the most successful.
The most, exactly.
Food and beverage product. By now, I think there may be bigger ones, I guess. And these, the idea was to bring growers and consumers together and basically cut out the middleman. So it's a disintermediation product. Whereby I must say there's a lot of intermediaries that you will need. Like I don't need to own a vessel to, as much as I want to sail it. I don't need to own the vessel to get the coffee from A to B, and I can still work with importers. There's great value in coffee importers and traders, but there's also lots of steps that can be cut out. And the more so, what we really have as a vision is to put the consumer's money where their mouth is in respect to coffee, meaning when you pay, I used this example last year, and yet again this morning I was shocked again when I got on the SBB and they charged me franc 50 for a freaking Americano that I don't know what it was. And nobody knows how much, I mean, there's studies of how much and how little actually the growers and the cooperatives get from that, but it would be in times of technology, in times of blockchain, in terms of us being on the phone all day, so much smarter to just pay the grower directly while I actually pay $5.50 and then just take 10%. It's fine. That's totally enough. Pay 55 cents straight to the grower. So this is where we want to go, and this is what we've come up with. I came up with the idea of a hardware concept. You might laugh at me. I actually had to laugh when Adrian was saying earlier that there's cowards, and then there's recklessness. And actually, if you want to do hardware, I'm sure you agree, it's just freaking expensive and complicated and whatever. So there's a insolvency in my background from 2010 when I already tried this, and then I turned to Kickstarter, and then people like Gunther Pauli actually turned up and said, what you're doing is actually circular economy. And I was like, sorry, what? It's blue economy. Excuse me, what is it? It's green, it's coffee. And he was like, no, it's blue, it's circular. And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Get me some links, I'll check it out. And I found that it's exactly what we're doing. So I started following and became an avid, fan. Yeah. And yeah, it's great. So we've got this machine, it's out there. We've got a few projects that we're working on. We see ourselves more or less as a think tank, and then build different companies that can pursue this way. And I'm happy to tell you more about this.
I just want to take up on that. Yes, it's out there. So the all-in-one coffee machine, you can see it out there. Something.
Yeah, I ditched an espresso. Yeah. I ditched an espresso.
Okay. As we see the fungi here as well. Lifi will be here as well on site. We can take a look at it. The wind project is a little bit too big, but we can see videos over there, so you can have a look at all that's been done. And it doesn't surprise me, if you may allow me saying so, that you had a coffee in the train. That man drinks 1.5 liters coffee per day. Is it true, Paul? Is it still?
Yeah, well,
true.
Actually, it's worse than that, because we just launched a coffee flat rate for our members.
Okay. So now
matches, it's
you actually
worse.
increase the consumption of coffee. Let's move to the next one. Let's go from the coffee side. Let's go, I would suggest, to Lifi. And there we have Suatopsu. Since I was talking about the kind of a personal story with the coffee of Hans, you have a personal story how your company was created. It has to do with your pregnant wife. I don't know whether you want to go as far back as that, but maybe you can give us the main idea behind what is a kind of an extraordinary idea, but which is not that new. But please, I'll let you decide.
So maybe I will present myself first, because a lot of people don't know me. I worked more than 10 years, 15 years as a scientist, as a professor at the University of Paris, and my skills are mostly based on quantum physics there. And in 2005, 2007, I have thought about a technology that consists of using light to send information instead of using radio waves, because after studying all the scientific papers about the effect of radio waves on human, it could affect. So I said, okay, we could not continue to develop so much systems with radio waves. We need to think differently, and why not use light? Because you have light everywhere, and if we can use light to connect people to internet, we would reduce their exposure to radio waves. So this is how Lifi was born, and in 2012 I became an entrepreneur. I created the first company. I can't say it was really a success for me, but for people, so I left the company in 2000, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. In fact, I don't let the shareholders push me out, to be clear. So I left the company, and I received a call from a guy at the French government saying, "Wow, Swat, it's great what you did with Lifi, but you know, we have so many technologies in our labs, and maybe we can create an investment fund, and you can manage it in order to try to push out all these technologies from the labs to the market." And I said yes. I said yes, but in labs in France, we have about, I don't know exactly, but several tens of thousands of technologies. So which one to choose, which one to invest? Of course, at this early stage, you don't have any business model. You don't know if it will work. It's what we call disruptive technology. Disruptive technology means you don't have anything you can compare in the market. So no business model, you don't know how to sell, and so on. So it's long-term, it's capital-intensive, and it's risky. And making money just by pushing technology, frankly, it's not me. So I said, okay, I will select only technologies that really bring something good for people. And I have learned from Günther, after discussing with him for more than 2 years, that social and environmental impact is not incompatible with profit. So this is what I learned with Günther. We can make money, but we can have also good impact in terms of nature and in terms of human being. So I decided last year to put together some people working on NGOs and some of scientists I'm working with, and said, okay, just you NGO, you know exactly what you need, what in terms of science and technology you need, and you scientists, you know how to do it. So I put them together, and we selected several projects, a lot of fun, in fact. We really have a lot of fun. The next step was to think about the business model. So this is the most difficult part, and this is also why I'm here also, because by talking with people here, I can learn and try to invent some business model that could work with this. You know this, no? Yeah, so what I said is that we will only invest on one technology that could permit to solve one of these problems. So just to give you some example, in less than 1 year, in 9 months or something like this, I started 3 companies. The first one is this guy from a lab in Paris working in drug discovery. He came to me, he said, okay, Swat, I found a solution against the, how do you say, diabetes? Diabetes. Because today, you know, you need, I don't know, but you need to inject something and so on. So I have pills and it can solve the problem. I said, wow, great. I said, yes, the problem is that I talked with a big pharma and they said, of course not, because we have $1 billion market and we will not provide a solution that could. And I said, okay, in this case, I will go. So we created the company in June, and in less than 2 months, the company has already raised €6 million in order to try to put.
So there's clearly an interest. Clearly,
yeah. Yeah, because it's really changing. What I want to call impact investors is a community that is growing very, very fastly. So now you can find investors that also look for challenge. So the second one is, I think, maybe a future Nobel Prize. Is this professor at the? He came to me. He said, "Swat, with my solution, I can recycle carbon dioxide into methane. Methane is a gas that you can use to provide to make energy, and the methane, after providing energy, will retransform on dioxide carbon. So if we have a cycle that could recycle dioxide carbon, we have a new kind of energy. And the problem is that all the technologies today that permits to the recycling of dioxide carbon is consuming more energy than they produce. So that means the model is not viable. This guy has found a way to make this recycling only using sunlight, photosynthesis. And he found this by mixing human blood with dioxide carbon, put all this under sunlight, and naturally the dioxide carbon was recycled. So I think it's really, really great invention. We already signed a contract with GRDF, which is a gas company in France. And now we will look for raising money because it's really capital intensive just to make a proof of concept at the industrial scale. It's just to start, it's about 10 million. So, but I'm confident we will find the money. Last one is a lot of people talk about artificial intelligences, but really today, in terms of artificial intelligence, we are at the start. You know, you show a picture to the computer and you say, oh, this is a human, this is a cat, and so on. So it's only perceptive intelligence. And this guy has developed a new kind of intelligence artificial that could permit to take a decision. What does I mean by taking a decision? If I show you, as I told you, a photo and ask you which one is the dog, which one is the human, it's quite easy. But if I ask you, do you want to go to take a drink with a friend on a bar, on a pub, or do you prefer to stay at home to look at the TV? Today, a machine could not take this kind of decision. With its algorithm, it can do it. And this is really important because I said you need to use this to protect people on internet. Why? Because most of us You know, when you download an app, you have a general condition and no one will read this condition. They just push the button and say yes. Because it takes a lot of tough time and we don't want to spend our time to do this. So we say, okay, we will be confident and we will do it. Behind this application, the system is so complex with servers, with networks, that you have no way a human could not check. So I said, we will use your system to decide if it's reliable or not. Mm-hmm. So the machine has to make a decision with incomplete information. So this is really promising technology if it is used on a good side, I want to say. Last one, of course, is Lifi. And Ethan will talk about Lifi because since last year, we made a lot of progress through the company Ellipse Smart Solutions. And for people who don't know about Lifi technology, I will just make a quick summary. The idea is really to use light as a spot that could connect you to internet. How it works? You know, of course, you use Wi-Fi. It's you put a beacon on the ceiling, on the floor. And through radio waves, you are connected to internet. Since 2007, 2008, the lighting market has changed a lot because we are moving from conventional light to LED light. So most of the light, not here, but in most places are now with LED light. And LED lights have the capability to switch on and off very, very quickly. So just to understand, for example, all the data you have on internet are only a series of 0 and 1. You know, you take a picture, you take a video, it's a binary code. So what we produce, what I have developed, is small components that take this information from internet and transform them into a series of 0 and 1. And we ask to the lamp to only switch on and off very, very quickly, so more than 10 million times per second to send this information. So it's like optical Morse. And your eyes, of course, could not see this blinking, but the camera of your smartphone or laptop or the equipment could see this blinking and rebuild from the binary code the video. So you are connected to internet. So Ethan, maybe you will give some information. And
yes, please, Ethan. And since we talked about it in the beginning, the app that people can download, maybe you can start with that. Maybe you can give them quite the instruction how actually it works, right?
Okay, yeah,
just to finish my last slide, because just to say, and since 1 year, because as I said, what I learned once again with Günther is that it's not incompatible to have profit and to have technology good for people. So I convinced tens of other investment funds in France. We created a network called SAT. And globally, today we have approximately 1 billion euros of investments. We already created 350 startups. And as I told you, we have more than 10,000 technology today in portfolio that we want to transform. Okay.
Impressive.
I finished.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Stuart. Ethan. Impressive numbers. We can talk about them later. Yes.
Yeah.
Ethan, please.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, thanks for this intro, Stuart. I think we were here a year ago, and then it was all a great idea, which had a proof of concept. We had demos, and what we've worked at without sleeping in the last year is trying to put that into practice. How are we going to put that into the market?
So you drank a lot of coffee as well, I guess.
Oh, a whole lot. And had those bars as well.
Okay.
And so I think what we've done over the last year is basically provide proof of concepts that show that this is really something that's applicable in the market. And I think the first thing is today the application, which everyone can download. If you go either to the Android or to the iOS store, if you type in Ellipse Zermatt, you will find the app, you download it, and you can actually use it to pick up information. So you go by the lamp, you shine it at the lamp, the application does, it's a bit of a hack if you want it. It basically takes control of your camera. It uses the camera to read the code that Suat was talking about, and then that transforms it into an action.
Remind us, where is the lamp?
The lamp is right outside next to the coffee station. or at the registration upstairs. So that's the very simplest kind of technology application that we've used, and it basically allows you to make your experience of whatever you're doing interactive. And a couple of months ago, and I think we have a movie of that, we can show that on the background, I think, is we worked together with the Vatican in Beijing. As you might have read, the Vatican and China have started kind of working close together and getting diplomatic relations. And they were going to be present at the World Expo for Horticulture in 2019, which is actually finishing now these weeks in Beijing. And they had obviously, I think Christopher was talking this morning about Laudato Si, and the church has been thinking for quite a while how science and religion comes together. And one of the most beautiful things for us was there that let there be light was case in point. That's exactly what we wanted to show. So together with the Vatican, we used our technology to make the whole booth that they have interactive. And so I don't know if you're able to show the movie.
Ecco, io credo che deve riuscire a riscoprire una realtà che si sta un po' spegnendo ai nostri giorni, cioè la realtà dello stupore, della meraviglia.
It's magic.
Magic.
It's magic.
Awareness towards beauty, knowledge, ethics should lead us into development of tools and new technologies that will benefit the whole humanity without exposing us to risks.
And they were amazing. Yeah,
it's amazing.
They're so cool. They're so cool. Yeah.
然后我刚才看，如果光能传输信息，应该是很棒的。本来上帝就是光，就是上帝给我们的信息。如果按基督教的信仰，就是一束光照到我们，照到世界上，它就是传递能量、信息啊这些。
I think that's one of the things that we've done. It's been amazing. As soon as we've done that, and just the fabulous feedback that we've received from it, really, we've created more of a whole software solution around it. One of the things we've done in the last year, obviously, was create not only a development team and a production team, but also a software team. Because what we really want to do, what we really believe is for this to kind of take up, is you need a whole solution that you need to be able to offer. And nowadays, that's software. So.
Okay.
So and that's that app.
Thank you very much, Ethan. So once again, download that app, and then you'll know much more about it, and you might be even be sent the film as well. Stephan Vrage, you were very patient. Thank you very much. We've been talking about the power of nature, about the power of the sun, the power of light. Now we're going to talk about the power of wind, because that's your big project. Please let us have a little idea about what you've been working on for quite some time now.
Thank you very much, and first of all, thank you, Christopher, for having me again. It's a big honor. Maybe we could show the slides.
We have slides that we can show in the background, I guess.
That makes it a bit easier because I love those pictures, so I want to share them. What do we do at Skysails? We use basically giant and autonomous kites, huge kites. These huge kites generate electricity or propulsion for vessels, and they can do that very well. And it's not magic that they can do it well. It has a physical background. So you see the kite is flying pretty high, and we are using high altitude wind, and that's the secret behind it. The Earth has a boundary layer of about 200 meters thickness where the wind is being slowed down. So all the wind turbines that are very good still deal with it, or with a problem that they're within the boundary layer. So the wind speed is slower than at 300 meters height or so. And that is where we yield the wind. So we can provide base load by wind power, which is really exciting. We can be as reliable as a diesel generator on coal-fired plant. We can provide 80 or 90% in the year electricity for remote places, and we can do that at low cost. So that is what's behind it. And because it can be built very light, we don't need a tower like a wind turbine, we don't need blades. So we can build it in a container, and we can ship this container, so it becomes mobile power. So you can use it virtually everywhere. And you can even use it in typhoon and hurricane areas, because you can land the kite when the typhoon comes, shelter it, and then restart after the typhoon has been there. So here we see a small 50 kilowatt power solution where the kite flies nice circles. And this means we can double the wind resource available to humankind. So when you look at the markets, then traditional wind can only access half of the sites that can be accessed when you use a kite. So we actually can increase the potential of wind that humankind can use. And that's a good business. So yes, we can do good for the environment and have good business. What you see here now is what we are very proud of, because that is what we have worked on the last year. It's our brand new 200 kilowatt machine. It powers about 2,500 households. And it comes in a small container. And this machine literally yesterday had the rollout of the workshop. And yeah, we will bring it to remote places next year. I'm very proud to say that last year at the summit, Gunther introduced me to Jean-Luc, who is sitting here in the first row from IBL, Mauritius. And the interest was so high that we made a strategy meeting in Mauritius, meeting a lot of people and politicians and people from IBL. And then we decided that Skysails Power, this technology, can make a really large difference to the Indian Ocean and Eastern Africa. And we will place one unit at Mauritius next year, 2020. So that's a concrete outcome of 2018.
Very nice.
So IBL becomes our partner, becomes our representative in that region. We will sign, I have the allowance to tell it, we will sign an agreement here in Zermatt this year. So very concrete outcome of 2018, signature today, next year the machine in Mauritius. And that's really, really cool for us. We really enjoy that. And the machine you have just seen, the container, a similar machine will, not this one, but a similar will go to Mauritius.
So very impressive, also proof of concept as well. By the way, if you're interested in Mauritius, we will be talking about Mauritius also on Saturday morning once again. Very impressive. And if I might just ask Gunther for what we just heard, you're kind of the common guy to go to for all these projects, so you know them all. I want to take up on something that we heard more than once. It's really like, we just want to make clear, this is, it's also about profit, and this is very profitable, and there is a business case there as well. If we heard earlier on, where there's a will, there's a way. Can we say with all these projects, as well as others, that that where there's a good idea, there's indeed an investor or an investment and an investment possibility? Do you feel that, or do you see that as well, that the market is ready for ideas like this?
First of all, great these presentations, but the key is money is there in abundance. That's not the problem. We need money that will respect the inventors and not take majority out of their hands. So what happened to Zermatt doesn't happen to everyone.
So is that the risk that lies within? Do you see that risk?
There's too much money that wants to take control of these companies and doesn't want to leave the liberty to its entrepreneurs to stay with their mission, to stay with their ethics. And that is one of the greatest challenges we have. We need to ensure that what happened to Zermatt doesn't happen to Ethan, and what happens, you know, so often. We don't want to see these covenants being signed where secretly the investor takes control of the IP. I mean, and this is the challenge we're having. So our little fund, we have put $500,000 into the Ellipse fund because we think it needs to move ahead. Well, I mean, hey guys, we have resources, right? So put them where they should be, put them to work, but ensuring that we can coach the owners to maintain control. The second thing is very important, is we need to popularize their inventions. I mean, I love when I see those beautiful presentations of STEPHAN, but I have retranslated what he's doing. And he's combining the yo-yo, you remember the yo-yo? He's combining the technique of the yo-yo with the technique, and the yo-yo is a 2,500-year-old technique. He combines it with the kite, which is a 9,000-year-old technique. And the mechanics that he has inside looks like a cuckoo's clock. Okay? So now we have the kite, the yo-yo, and the cuckoo's clock with artificial intelligence.
Does that mean we're often too complicated when we explain the project?
Exactly. And you know, what we have to celebrate with IVANKA is that she was not only the entrepreneur of the year of Serbia, but she has created the platform for 500 entrepreneurs to get going. And each one of them is not an entrepreneur in their own right. Each one of them creates a platform for more entrepreneurs to do it. And that's how we have an acceleration. So the problem for me is there's too much money that looks at the core business, that tries to take control of the owners anyway, or tries to limit their creative power, but then they are not looking at it in an open source for the common good. And that means that what we're seeing is the agreement that will be signed on Saturday, Friday, whenever, with agreement, is an agreement to really develop the Indian Ocean. Now, if you're sitting in Europe, you're not waking up with a strategy session and you're saying, let's go to the Indian Ocean. I mean, on holidays, yes, but not for business development. On the other hand, we were together, well, with the IBL group, we were in the Maldives, and we think the Maldives can be transformed into the first kite nation of the world. Well, kite, yo-yo, cuckoo's clock nation, you know. But, you know, this is where we see the great opportunities, that we need to create these platforms so that we go, what I think as a strategy of the challenge for them is, we need to be in the periphery. If you're an innovator and you're forced to operate in the center, New York, Paris, London, you are fighting against the big ones. But if you're able to deploy your know-how and keep it controlled with original spirit in the periphery, you can flourish.
In Zermatt, for example, so we're always at the good... So we already understood Gunther is not only a good translator, but also a good ambassador for all these projects and a good PR guy as well. Can I just take up on one thing that he said? And I want to put it to all of you. Of course, we know there is money around, but as we just learned, there are people around who want to take profit and who are maybe not as interested in the ethical ideas as well, but who want to make money. There are big companies out there. Do you see that risk as well, that your good idea, that your brilliant idea might be taken over, and that we just heard an example that you might get kicked out of your business or just bought out of your business? So let's put it that way. Hans, has there ever been a kind of a risk, or where you see that, you know, it's starting to become successful, so I have to be careful?
Well, I gotta be honest. There's a funny thing that's just happening with us at the moment. So we launched this machine that you can see outside, and that's not only grinding and brewing, but also roasting coffee, and it's communicating back home. It's literally like what was it called? ET, right? You need to call home, because it's literally calling the farmer, securing through a blockchain element. That the coffee that you scan with an RFID chip is coming from the source, and that now an action is triggering from your wallet into his wallet. So we have that. And then we went out and said, okay, and actually some of you said it here as well, next thing is going to be espresso, right? So actually, if I could just quickly have that short video, that would be amazing. So we started thinking about espresso again a year ago when we were here already, and then we started developing it, and now it's done and developed. And what I'm going to show you now is the hardware again, because I didn't want to be the coward, so I became reckless, I suppose. This is what we developed. Just sound, that would be amazing. No?
You think of the sound. Oh, there you go.
So, what you can see is
we have the rocky sound.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the eye of the tiger, baby. You see a machine that goes on top of existing equipment in coffee shops already, right? Right there, espresso machine,
this
grinder.
Is
Boom.
the Bonaverde.
Put it on top. That's what it is. I think we can pause it right there.
Is changing coffee.
If you can, thank you. And the idea with this machine now is that you go into coffee shops, right? And we managed to do that upon investor requests. Investors were like, and actually my investors are amazing. I have two investors, also friends of Gunter Pauli, who have they have doubled every euro we made in crowdfunding. We did 5 million euro by now in crowdfunding, largest ever crowdfunding campaigns. They just doubled the money in. So we burned 10 million by now for these hardware components. And then the new investors that were supposed to finance this add-on that you'll see here more, came around and said, okay, cool, but prove me first that this works in coffee shops, that you can sell it. So we went out, going to coffee shops, and showed them, like he's doing now, the drawings. Went in there, showed it to them, and funnily enough, they all liked it. But then the investors came back and said, now, put the machine that you already have, the machine that is outside, the B2C, the consumer machine, the consumer appliance, put that into these coffee shops. And we did. And like beaten dogs, I pulled all these machines out again, because a B2C appliance in a B2B environment, it's just, I mean, I should have listened to Günther at that point, probably, because it's just a dumb idea. It's like New York for a startup. It's like, why don't you go into the periphery and do it there first? So I walked out, beaten, but here's one thing. These guys said, when you put the machine inside, you also send your members that have the machine at home. And we started talking. It became a community effort, and everybody liked the idea of trading directly with the growers and reimbursing the growers. And we said, you know what, I can do easier than that. So I went back into all these shops and put up QR codes. Mm-hmm. And now we have an app that allows you, downtown Berlin, hundreds of coffee shops, scan QR codes. You walk in, scan a QR code, and the owner will immediately identify you as one of our members and give you a free cup of coffee.
Okay.
And chat with you about the coffee. And we delivered the coffee, and it's coming from the source, and we know who's getting the money for it, which is amazing. But now the investors are coming to us and go like, wait a second, that's ClassPass for coffee. And ClassPass, I didn't even know about this. ClassPass is this company from New York that has by now raised 800 million, is a $3.5 billion valuation company for fitness studio platforms. So they poach members of fitness studios and make them their members so that the fitness studio has to go through the platform. That's basically what it is. And now I'm left with, I probably have to change my business model in order to get the money, because those people want to give me the money because I can poach the coffee shop members, and I don't want to poach them.
Yeah. There we see some of the challenges. Ivanka, you work in a field that is pretty much, I think, still so. You're without competition. You're the only one around. Is that an advantage in that regard?
I would like to emphasize, my technology is 4,000 years old. So all what we are doing, it is unlike with all that fantastic idea, which hardly I cannot even understand. My technology is 4,000 years old. But still, in that technology, we have four real good innovation, which is protected, like know-how, and what we share through the model of open source. So I don't have investors. I had never dealt with investors because of many conditions, and finally, because maybe we are not attractive, and maybe some ages are behind me, maybe it is also reason. However, we are facing, I do believe that our idea, that our business model is definitely applicable globally, because we are dealing with food, with ordinary food. But then, if we want to, I told you, we are really working on the benefit of all community. honestly speaking, not only because of own altruism, it is our business model. Because if they are happy, we are happy, everybody is happy. We are doing fair trade principle agreement, so our product is expensive. Then we are dealing with the market. And then I would like to emphasize what our colleague before told about the common good and everything. You know, we have fantastic legally frame, and I do believe that all those companies who are doing a huge trade have fantastic, even well-known frame about sustainability, about correct business, about ladies' business. You know, I'm flying a little bit on that wings. I'm lady, I'm women, I am innovative, and everything is fine. But once, when you come in direct negotiation, you are ready to die. Yeah. We have extremely bad experience from the last year. I don't want to mention, because more or less everybody knows here, about my experience with one huge company, huge traders here in Europe, who even made pre-agreement confirmation with us and then all of the sudden just cancel. Okay. So I played a fair business because we prepared everything to respond on the demand of the market, and just all of the sudden he said, no, excuse us. So that is also things what we have to discuss about, because it is not a matter of investor. I don't need investor, but we need a fair trade, like we are dealing with our farmers.
Since we're airing some frustration, you told me before the panel here that it's also quite frustrating for you that you always have to explain, and you have the impression that people don't really get it. Is that one of the key findings or learnings as well from last year?
Yeah, yes, but I would like to tell that I think that we have certain background, certain CV of our company, so we are recognizable and we are well known. Maybe it is not modest, but it is true. We are globally known, like unique company, innovative, and other thing. But the problem is that I'm coming from the region where final product is not very often. I mean, we are service for the raw material supplier. Final product from Serbia, it's really not easy to be sold on the market. And I need a lot of energy to ensure the customer that we are the buyer, that we can be a reliable business partner. But in this case, I made mistake. I tried desperately to ensure them, and they didn't play a fair trade.
Speaking of mistakes, that's something we want to get out of this as well, maybe also as a learning. Stefan, you've been at it for a long time. I've talked about it. You've been honored an outstanding young person in 2004. You've been the Öko-Manager des Jahres also in Germany. So you know the trade, you know the business world as well. Have you learned something also maybe in the last year that was maybe a challenge or a risk, or that was a deception as well? I mean, we've seen some beautiful images, and we've seen some good examples how things worked out. Have there been challenges and setbacks?
Oh yeah, there have been.
Or headwinds to keep in the world of wind.
Yeah, sure. Of course, there have been a lot of challenges, and one of the largest challenges for us is actually finding capital and equity for our growth. And what we have experienced is that investors, classical investors, say, yeah, we do venture capital, but I have met very few investors that do really venture capital, because when you then start talking to them, they say, yeah, we want a cash flow business and we want you to prove 50 units with 3 years experience, and then we invest in your growth. Okay. They said, yeah, but that is a different story.
They literally take the adventure out of venture.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that too.
I had lots of those talks. So by purpose and by these occasions, we are only financed by families. We are only financed by private investors that run family business since generations, and that have a very lot of interest for long-term, stable investments with a lot of values behind it. They want to change the world. They have enough money they earn a lot of money with a business, otherwise they couldn't invest in us. So they don't want to draw out the money fast. They want to be investing in a good business long term. And we never signed a deal with so-called venture capitalists or private equity companies because of the covenants. Some of them were willing to do it, and then I read through the contracts and said, are you crazy? We miss one milestone and you get 40% of the company? That's not really what is sustainable business. Yeah, of course, you get a valuation and that reflects the risk, so you have to take it. End of story. But what I feel is that the willingness to take real risk and to be really entrepreneurial has diminished a lot. That's my learning from the last year.
That's interesting. Interesting as a learning as well. Just as a comment, we want to give you the opportunity to get to know these people, these entrepreneurs, a little bit better. That's why we're going to break up now for a breakout session where you can ask the questions as well that you have in mind and maybe get to know all these projects a little bit better. Just as a last thought, Ethan, I was talking about the outstanding young person, Stephan Rager, who's sitting next to you, who's now a little bit older. Ethan, you're probably the youngest one in the round here. Maybe the takeaway that you had as a young entrepreneur, maybe one thing that pops into mind, what did you learn in the last year? What is maybe the best lesson or the best kind of key learning that you can give other people?
Yeah, I think it's actually quite in line with what Stephan just said. I said there's an ability to invest maybe, but the combination of the vision and the courage to invest, because when you say you miss a milestone, you get 40%, that shows to me you're scared. But having a vision and a courage to together do something with us, all of us, yeah, I think that's really what we are looking for. And that's what I've
So that's the collective, the communal spirit, and that's something we want to do now. I suggest we go into those breakout sessions. We make them as easy as possible and as interactive as possible. So if you have questions, if you're interested in one of those projects, please go and talk to these people.